How's everyone doing? Thanks for joining me on my small engine repair channel. Today's project is this Poulan Pro with a Briggs & Stratton 550EX series engine on it, and the problem it's got is there is oil saturated all over the deck. So let's see if we can figure out why and see if we can fix it. Alright guys, so I picked this one up for free. The person who contacted me about this one said it has a blown piston. So I'm not sure what that means. I mean, there is a pile of oil all over the place, all around below the engine. So first thing we need to do is figure out where that oil is coming from. The other one quick thing I did notice initially is that there was no spark plug. So I suspect maybe someone took out the spark plug and tried to look into the spark plug hole into the head where the cylinder and piston is, and maybe that's how they assessed it as being a blown piston. Okay. Blown piston, that's a new one. But anyways, let's see what we got here. It's got a full tank of gas. Smells fresh. Let's see if it has any oil. Let's take a look. Alright, it shows some oil on here, but I'm going to wipe it off and then retest it. So, I don't know about you guys, but to me, that thing looks like it is filled right to the edge, like right to the top. I wonder if I can stick my finger in there and get oil on my finger. Look at that. So that's interesting. Might be a case of overfilling the oil. So guys, when you fill up the oil, you don't fill it up until it leaks out of the crankcase. You fill it up till it reaches the line, okay? I can't stress that enough. I see far too many people overfilling their machines with oil. So the first thing I'm going to try is the easiest thing. I'm going to drain the oil from this thing, put the proper amount in, find a spark plug, and see if this thing was just overfilled with oil. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do before I start flipping this thing over and making a mess is trying to get some of this oil off the deck. Just get some old rags, try and soak up as much of that as I can. Okay, let's see how much oil this thing actually has in it. I'll be curious. Alright, I'm going to get another container before this one gets too full. Alright, so this engine takes about 440 milliliters of oil. So I'm just curious to know how much this actually had in it. This is a 1 liter container. So we're going to see how much oil they had in this thing. So that's 300 milliliters already. 800, 900. Okay, so that's a liter. pour the rest of this in here and see how much it actually had. Another 200. So 1.2 liters, 1200 milliliters. That's almost 3 times as much oil as this thing actually is supposed to have in it. So there's, I don't know, I have no words. I have no words. So anyways, we're going to continue on. I'm going to put in, I just want to see if this thing actually, should have left that in there. I just want to see if this thing will actually run before I start putting fresh oil in it and wasting money on that. So I'm going to put about 400 milliliters back in the engine, because you never get all of it completely out. And then I'm going to check it for the proper level. I mean, the thing could still have a problem with the engine. While that's all dripping in there, I'm going to see if I can find a spark plug. Alright, I got a replacement spark plug here. Check the oil levels now. So I'm not sure if you guys can see that on the camera, but it's right up to the arrow, to this line. That's perfect. So if this thing does fire, I suspect it's going to blow a pile of smoke. Alright, so let's see what we get, if anything. This one has an auto choke system, and it's missing a filter, of course, and the auto choke is closed, so we'll see. So I'm going to spray some starter fluid in here, because I'm assuming the carburetor is just full with oil, like everything else. I'm just trying to get in there with the screwdriver, open up that choke flap, and then spray a bunch of this quick start in there, ether. And let's see if we get a fire out of it. Alright, so as I suspected, sorry about the background noise, I had to turn all my fans on in here because as you saw, it just smokes like crazy. Now, it looks like, I don't know what we got there, for an extra oil leak maybe. There's oil all over everything. So I think what I'm going to have to do is go ahead and power wash this thing. I gotta clean the carburetor anyways. It's running, but it's running rough. But it runs. So much for it being a broken piston. So some of this stuff makes me laugh, guys. Bring you guys along for the carb clean here. See how bad this one actually is. To get the air filter housing off, you got two 8mm screws here, one here, and then you got two 7mm right here. Okay, and then this comes off. Now, I'm probably just going to take the rest of this off, just to make it easier for you guys, so I'll come back when it's all off. Alright, so I got that off. Now the carburetor just slides off the intake tube, and then we're gonna have to slide it a couple different ways here. One to get this rod off, and then one to get this rod off. So Z bend for this top, and then side Z bend for this one. And there we go. Carburetor's off. Take you over to the bench now. Okay, so to get inside one of these guys, well, first thing I'm going to do is actually go and wash this off with some old gas and a paintbrush so that all this crap on the outside doesn't fall in on the inside. Okay, so now to get in here, you got to take off two 7mm bolts here on the bottom. And then you just take the two pieces apart. Now there's a gasket in there, so sometimes it's hard to, it's kind of a pressure fit almost. So get yourself a nice big flat head screwdriver and you stick it up underneath here and kind of pry the two pieces apart on both sides. And once you got it pried up a little bit, then you can kind of stick that in there and then just twist. Alright, so far I don't see too much in the way of issues. Definitely some water in there. Means I'm going to have to drain out the fuel tank. Alright, so 99% of the problems with these carburetors is right in here, in this little guy here. So you get yourself a little flathead screwdriver and then you kind of stick it in there and gently, there's a gasket under there, you try and gently lift that out. And just be patient. Just be patient. And there you go. And there you go. Okay, so this is the jetting system that it uses. Alright, so it goes in here, sits like this, picks up fuel from the bottom here through this hole, which you won't be able to see it on camera, but I can see is partially restricted. There's a very small, tiny hole there. It should be fairly decent. Well, it should be bigger than what it is. Okay, so that gets clogged up, and then if you take these pieces apart, okay, just stick your small screwdriver in there. Try not to damage anything, and then just pry the pieces apart underneath here. There's an emulsion tube. Okay, and in this emulsion tube there's some holes, which you're gonna have a hard time seeing, but you can see those two holes. There's a third hole left of it. It's hard to see, but you can't see through that. You can't see my glove through that one, so that one's clogged. Alright, so this jet is actually probably looks smaller than it, the opening looks smaller than it was because there was a little bit of fuel in there and it kind of tricks you a little bit. So there is a hole there, but you're going to want to clean that out with a piece of wire. Clean out these 3 holes here, and then all of these passageways you're going to want to shoot them. There's another one right here. Alright, right here. You're going to want to pick at those with a piece of wire. So I got myself a bread tie here. Stick it through these holes. Okay, these holes are pretty big, so they don't typically clog up. These ones clog. This jet here is the main culprit usually. And it is clogged a little bit here. It's giving me a little bit of a hard time with this. There we go. Now you can see it goes through. So I know this size of bread tie actually fits in there, and if it doesn't, then I know it's clogged up. And then this guy. Okay. So it wasn't as bad as I expected, but just enough. Now under here, I don't typically mess with this too much. You take this off. This pin comes off. You can pry this whole assembly up like that on both sides, and it comes out, and that will give you your needle valve and the seat where it sits in. So if it's leaking fuel into your oil or it's overflowing fuel, this is the problem, because this little rubber tip is not seating properly in here, so it's not shutting off the fuel, which comes in right through here. Okay, so I'll put all that back together. I'll clean all this up with some carb cleaner, and I'll put it all back together, and then I'll see you back in a bit. Alright, so I got the carb and everything back together. There's some fresh fuel in the tank because I emptied the fuel out of the tank. And I left the air filter off the housing for now. There's no air filter to go in it anyways. This will prevent me from having to take it off again if there's still a problem. So I'm going to try and fire it up and see what we get. It probably will still smoke a little bit. Alright, so there you have it. Now it's running nice and smooth. I will let it run for a little while longer after I shut the camera off here, just to make sure there's a leak check it there, so that we didn't blow out any seals or anything by having so much oil in it. But I think this is going to be good. It came with a bagger as well, so throw that on there, clean it all up. I'm going to do a full tune-up service on it, so sharpen the blade, change out that oil again, service the spark plug, lubricate all the cables, the wheels, the adjusters, and I've already lubricated the starter recoil because I had that off. So I'm not going to show you all that. I have a video on that I'll link here now in the top corner that goes through a complete servicing of one of these lawnmowers. It's a 4-part series, so if you want, you go ahead and click on that to find out the remainder of what I'm going to do on this thing. So hope you enjoyed this one, guys. Just goes to show you, too much oil is not a good thing, and I've seen this time and time again. So make sure your oil level is right and proper. So thanks for watching, guys. Consider subscribing and smashing the like button, all that good stuff. And until the next project, take care.